All right, guys, I'm going to do two examples for you. One example using the quadratic formula, which I wrote right here, and one example using the discriminant, which is right here. And if you notice, this is basically just everything that's underneath the radical in your quadratic formula, okay? And I'm going to do problems 2 and 3 from page 586 in your book, all right? Number 2, they want you to solve this problem, okay, using quadratic formula. Now, you use the quadratic formula when all else fails, all right? You can't factor it, you can't complete the square, all right? So you can use this on everything that we've been doing up to this point, but because it's so long and tedious, we're just gonna, I mean, if you can factor, then factor, but with these, you can't, so you gotta use this, all right? So I wanna get everything to the left side, all right? So I got everything to the left side. Now I can use quadratic formula. The 7 is considered my A, the -2 is my B, and the -8 is my C. So if I do the quadratic formula, it's -b, all right? So a negative, my B is already negative, so that's eventually going to turn into a positive. Plus or minus the square root of b squared, well, -2 times -2 is 4, minus 4 times your A, which is 7, times your C, which is -8, okay? And then all over 2 times 7, all right? So I'm just going to kind of do this one step at a time. So this becomes a 2 plus or minus the square root, all right? I'm going to get my calculator here. So we have 4 times 7 times a -8. I get -224. But remember, it's a negative of a -224. So this is actually 4 plus 224, okay? All over 14. All right, so then this is 2 plus or minus the square root of 228 all over 14. So now we just need to figure out what the square root of 228 is. So square root of 228 equals 15.1. So we have 2 plus or minus 15.1 divided by 14. That plus or minus is where you get your two answers from. So I'm going to do 2 plus 15.1 all over 14. And I'm also going to do 2 minus 15.1 all over 14. All right? So this 2 plus 15.1 is going to be 17.1 divided by 14. So I got 1.2. And then this, all right, we get 13.1 divided by 14. So 0.9. All right, that works for me. So that's where I get my two answers using quadratic formula. Now, for problem number 3. Problem number 3 is just asking, how many real number solutions does the equation have? Well, your equation is -2x squared plus 8x minus 5 is equal to 0. This is where you just use the discriminant, all right? So the discriminant, once again, is b squared minus 4ac. I'm just going to plug these numbers in. So 8 is my b squared. All right, so 8 squared minus 4 times my a is -2 times my c, which is a -5. So we have 64, all right? -4 times a -2 is +8. +8 times is -40. So we have 14. All right, we have 14. Now, when you use the discriminant, if your discriminant, if the b squared minus 4ac is greater than 0, that tells us that we have two solutions. If this number was equal to 0, then there's only one solution. If this number is less than 0, then you have no solution. Because if this number is less than 0 in your quadratic formula, can you take a square root of a negative number? No, you cannot. That would be no solution right off the bat. So if this is negative, if this turns out to be less than 0, it's no solution. All right? Hopefully this helped, and hopefully this will help with your homework.